Last September, I posted a video about Blount Volunteer Days at Camp Blount near Fayetteville, Tennessee. And with this video, today I'm starting a series about the rebuilding of the Joseph Greer Cabin. This is a unique opportunity to see how structures like that were built. It's going to be made with parts from the original Greer Cabin that was near Petersburg, Tennessee, north of Fayetteville, Tennessee, in Lincoln County. Other parts of the wood are from other cabins from the era that have been disassembled. And so we've just begun the process of rebuilding that cabin at Camp Blount. And this is part one in a series of videos about that process. Hope you enjoy it.
Good afternoon. My name is Rick Laws. I'm the current president of the Joseph Greer chapter, the Tennessee Society of the Sons of the American Revolution, and I'm talking to you today here from the site where we're reconstructing the house of Joseph Greer, the messenger of Kings Mountain. And Joseph Greer, he's a very significant gentleman in the fact that after the Battle of Kings Mountain, he was selected by John Sevier to take the message of the victory to the Continental Congress in Philadelphia. So he set out on a horse and a compass and his skills as a backwoodsman from East Tennessee to make that long journey, all over a month long, to go to Philadelphia to bring the news of Kings Mountain to the Continental Congress. I'm sitting on a stone pier which will hold the main log segments of what they call the mud seal logs that will hold up the front and the back of the cabin. After the construction of the mud seals go in the center line will go additional piers to support the center of the floor joists that go across the formation in this fashion. The other concrete piers to the outside will hold up additional piers that will be built to hold up the porches. This particular site, the stone was harvested from the local area. A lot of stone came from the actual Joseph Greer site, and some of the other stones came from various old buildings that came in northern Lincoln County in the 1800s, mid-1800s, but nevertheless they're all fieldstone or limestone from this area. Going back to our stone piers, the early log cabins weren't all dirt floors. The Joseph Greer house actually had a wooden floor. And to have a wooden floor, it'd have to be elevated from the ground. The early pioneers stacked stones one on the other to attempt to make a level surface to lay their mud seal logs, and later their floor joist to create a wood floor. This right here is sassafras wood. It's not known what wood was used in the original Joseph Greer house, but we chose sassafras because it is a natural insect-resistant wood, as well as cedar, in which we're using for floor joists. As you can see, this is a pretty heavy wood. It's been here for some time. We cut it last year. It's still seasoning. We're still going to abrade the sides with a broad axe and long-handled adze in order to texture it so it will match the period correct logs that we have under cover over in this area. But the mud seal logs is the first course of logs that's in the front and the back of the house that holds up the most of the structure. Here are some of the logs that's going to be used for the floor joists in the cabin. You can see right now that one side has been cut flat because that will be the surface that's facing up that the floorboards will lay on. There'll be a notching occur in the bottom round part where it will lay on top of the seal logs that I previously shown you before. So these logs here are red cedar and they were cut. They should be pretty much cured out by now. This particular stack of logs here are from the original Joseph Greer house. As you can see, the notches and the logs, even some of the bark is still on there. Right here is a tag that was applied to the logs so we can reconstruct the house back in its original configuration as close as we possibly can. Now, as you can see, some of these logs, such as this one, aren't in very good shape. So that's where our preservationist skills will have to come into play to replace segments of logs that are no longer serviceable or safe to use. Here I am standing in a lot of fieldstone and limestone that's been gathered around the area of Lincoln County. A lot of our members of the Camp Blount Historic Site Association have been very helpful in gathering up stones from various other ruins. Many of these stones, if you look at them, are pretty much square cut. This one even has a little bit of a soot mark on it because they actually came from chimneys from other structures. A lot of the stones is fieldstone and will have to be cut and chiseled in order to be usable. Now, what are we going to use them for? Well, a double pin dog trot house of that era had fireplaces on each end of the house. There was a kitchen on one side and a sleeping area on the other side with a dog trot in the middle. The kitchen hearth is obviously probably the bigger of the two fireplaces, but it's all made out of local stone from this area. It's not going to be masonry brick. It's going to be made from natural stone, put together in traditional ways as we go forward. Now, we didn't have enough stone when we disassembled what was left of the ruin of the Joseph Greer house. So that's why we had to gather additional stone. Down here in these smaller piles is the original stone that was recovered from the Joseph Greer house from what was left of the two chimneys that were on that house. There was a stovepipe in the ceiling of the original Joseph Greer house, and it indicated at some point in time somebody put in a stove. But the original structure had these stones, fireplaces in each end of the house. Now, again, this wasn't sufficient amount of stone to recreate two large fireplaces with chimneys in them. So now we've gathered enough stone. It appears that we have a sufficient amount to complete the house and then perhaps maybe make a little dry stack stone wall in the vicinity.